So in this War Thunder video, we're going to be going over the vehicles in War Thunder that I think that you should probably pick up for GE whenever it comes to the War Thunder sales, or if you're just watching this video in the future, just vehicles I think for GE that's really good. So this is going to not include any of the pack vehicles. We're going to be doing that at a later date, but also that these vehicles will be over ranked 2, because I think it's very important in War Thunder for a vehicle to be over ranked 2, just because it gives you ability to do events with it. You're able to do dailies and specials with it as well, and it makes, doing the battle pass and just playing War Thunder a lot easier. So a lot of these vehicles are going to have some sort of niche that needs to be filled. Some of them may be good for grinding, and some of them I just really enjoy playing. And I feel like that's one of the big things about War Thunder, is finding those types of vehicles that you really enjoy. And I'm glad to be able to share it with you guys. So one final thing to note before we get onto my top 5 GE vehicles in the game is that if you don't have a premium account, that is the #1 thing that you should always buy, especially if there is a War Thunder sale going on, because that will get you a lot more RP and SL than just buying a premium within the tech tree. It'll give you a ton of stuff. It applies to the vehicles that you're currently grinding, and it's overall a better value of your money. But if you already have a premium account and you want to try out some of these vehicles, these are some of my top 5. So the first vehicle we're going to be looking at is the Super Hellcat for America. This vehicle is kind of really good. I don't really know how to explain it, because it's always a very wonderful vehicle whenever I play it. There's just something about the 90mm put onto a light tank where you're just able to zoom around a map and get on the sides of tigers and get on the sides of panthers, where this thing just pops them. Like, it's a really good popping machine whenever it comes to hitting ammo. And as well as the one thing that I really like over the Super Hellcat, and I know some people just say, well, I'll just bring out the regular Hellcat with the 76, because if you're on the side of enemies, majority of the time you'll be able to pin them anyway with the 76 and also have a quicker reload. But the 90mm just pops things. Like, if you pin with the 90mm, majority of the time with M82, you're going to kill it. Like, there's no ifs, ands, and buts about it. There's some times, especially whenever it comes to very big tanks, that maybe it might be a little bit of an issue. But at a battle rating of 6.3, the American lineup for that battle rating is really good. You have the Jumbo Sherman, which does really well with the M18. Sometimes the Super Hellcat, you get a map for it, like, Abandoned Factory, which is pretty small, which doesn't really serve that vehicle well, where you can't flank with it. And, stuff like the Jumbo makes that vehicle a little bit better. So yeah, highly recommend the Super Hellcat. It's really fun to play. It's very mobile. You get on the sides of vehicles, flank around the map, and you should do pretty well with it. And the next vehicle on this list is a very controversial vehicle, but I think it's a very good vehicle to just have in War Thunder, because it's very reliable in what it does. And that is the JU-288C. So this vehicle is a bomber. It is a bomber that pretty much hinders your team in every way that you can imagine. But if there's ever a task for War Thunder where you got to get so much tonnage, or if you just want to turn off your brain for the day and just grind some SL, or even grind out the German air tech tree, this is a wonderful vehicle to do it. And I highly, think that it's just good to have. Like, I feel like this kind of, is a very reliable vehicle. You're going to outspeed everything. You're going to be able to bomb bases pretty reliably. And, overall, it's just pretty decent. Now, is it the best in the world? No, but it is really good to have, especially if you can get it half off. So if the JU-288 was a controversial take for a GE premium, this is going to be another one. So the 2S38. So the 2S38 is one of those vehicles that I feel like a lot of people overhype for what it is, but I understand why it's overhyped in a way, because it's a very much a jack of all trades vehicle, which is a really good thing in War Thunder. Sometimes you need these vehicles to fill out your lineup, especially, a second or third spawn after you spawn in like your T-72s. This is a vehicle which can be an SPA. It can be a light tank. It can be a medium tank. The only thing really this thing cannot do is be a heavy tank, because it really doesn't have that much armor to begin with. But since it has no armor, sometimes APFSDS just goes completely through you and does no damage. But yeah, I do fully understand, it's a very annoying vehicle, just because, let's just say that you die by it in a tank, you get APFSDS with it, and then you jump into a plane, you're like, oh, I can go bomb it now, and now you're getting proximity fused in the air, which is always, an interesting thing. It's one of those things that's really good at just doing everything, but not a good thing at doing, just one thing, like MBTs or something like that. But it is a really good vehicle to have for your 10-0 lineup, because it is an SPA. It's able to do, a lot of things that, other tanks can't. And I highly recommend actually picking up 2S38 if you're able to get it on a discount. So the next vehicle I kind of recommend is for the UK, which is the Khalid. So if you don't know what this vehicle is, it's a Chieftain with an upgraded engine. It also has APFSDS, and it's at a battle rating of 9.3. And whenever I got a test drive from this thing from Gaijin, it is a very fun vehicle to play. Like, I feel like this thing and also the TAM2IP are two vehicles which are just fun. Like, I don't really feel like they're like the best at grinding or anything, it's because it could get quite a bit boring just playing these things over and over. But whenever you do play them, I feel like I do extremely well in them. Having the Chieftain where you're able to actually have mobility with it is really good. And it's personally going to be one that I pick up during this War Thunder sale, because whenever I did have the test drive for it, it was just really fun. And I really like those vehicles where you're just able to kind of kick back, just go at it and have a wonderful time. And that's what the Khalid is. It might not be the best thing in the world, but it does do some stuff that, from the Chieftains a little bit better. And, I do like the Chieftains, but, the one Achilles heel of Chieftains has always been the speed of the things. And this thing kind of changes that. So yeah, highly recommend the Khalid. It's just kind of fun. It's just good fun. And I feel like that's always a really good thing to have in War Thunder. And then finally, my last vehicle that I would recommend after picking up for GE is the Ho-Ri prototype. So this vehicle is at 6.7. It used to be at 6.0. Surprisingly enough, this vehicle has went up the battle rating brackets a ton, but there's a really good reason for it. This thing is really good for what it is. Now, it's not going to, be the best vehicle in the world. It is a casemate tank destroyer, but the one thing that it does have is it has a really decently good gun. Like, the pen on it is not the best that you would see from most tank destroyers at this battle rating, especially stuff like the Jagdtiger and all that sort of stuff. But the thing that it does really well is that the post-pen damage on this thing is basically a nuke. So every time you pin with it, you're just going to nuke the enemy tank whenever you do see it. And the frontal armor, I feel like it's one of those vehicles kind of like the M103 and vehicles that don't really see much play within War Thunder, where people just don't know where to shoot it. And I feel like that's what the Ho-Ri, production and as well as the prototype kind of succeed from, is that people don't really know how to actually engage these things because they don't see many of them. And overall, it's a really good vehicle to actually grind out Japan, and I highly recommend it. So yeah, this is going to be the kind of quick guide to what I would recommend GE-wise whenever it comes to premiums. We will be doing some more videos on the pack vehicles as well. If you want to see some of the reviews I have for some of these pack vehicles, they'll be in the description and as well as a time card, popping up now. So hope everyone has a wonderful day, and I'll see you guys in the next War Thunder video.